Welcome into the Energy Tech Podcast. Pat Smith from Avadine joins Mike in the booth live at ICC 2025. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, thanks a lot. Of course, I'm your co-host, Mike Flotis, with the Energy Tech Podcast, right here in the heart of Sacramento with ICC 2025. And of course, we've got our guest from Avadine, Mr. Pat Smith. Pat, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's coming on the show, and we're really going to focus on some of the things that Avadine has been doing. Pat had a great presentation earlier today with the Ignition Oil and Gas Collective, and he's going to share a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about some of the expertise that he brings to the table from Avadine and a connection there with Ignition. So first of all, Pat, is this your first time at ICC?
It is not.
Okay. So you've been here quite a few times. What do you think, when I think of the word level up for Ignition, I talked about this on our own podcast, they're leveling up with 8.3. They're leveling up in a new location. One of the ways that we're leveling up is even presenting here, at the show itself. So what do you think is different for you this year as in previous years at ICC?
Well, one, the venue, this convention center is huge.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I was an end user for 16 years, and now I'm an integrator. So I've leveled up.
Yeah.
And then, I think the connections that I'm making this year are better than I've made in the 8 or 9 years that I've been to ICC.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to join that part of your connection now. And let's talk a minute about what you've been doing and what you do as an SME, right? Because earlier we had Al on, which is your one of the counterparts with Avadine. Sorry, guys, Avadine. Mm-hmm. And Avadine, he's talking about some of the capabilities, but it seems that you bring lots of subject matter expertise. Let's walk back through that, man. Where did you come from? Yeah. What is it you think you bring to the table as part of the Avadine team? Sure.
Yeah. So, Avadine's been around for almost 30 years, mostly custom software on the IT side.
Right.
And they do a lot of business software consulting. Mm-hmm. That's how I ran into them. So I worked at Era Energy for 16 years, oil and gas company here in California. And my background is SCADA and automation.
Okay.
So PLC programming, SCADA, HMI, and that really has been my career in the oil and gas industry. And Avadine, it's an interesting company. They wrote a lot of custom software for us.
Right.
And a lot of that custom software needs data from the SCADA system.
Right.
And that's how I got to know those guys. And over the course of my career, I had many projects to convert Wonderware to Ignition, and I needed extra resources.
Right.
And we didn't have local integrators that we, one, had agreements and contracts with, but two, felt comfortable using.
Right.
And so we went to Avadine and said, hey, this isn't really your guys' space, but would you be willing to hire some kids right out of school with computer science degrees, and I'll teach them Ignition? Right. And that's how the relationship started. And as we progressed with our Ignition system, those guys have been constantly saying, hey, you should come over, we'll do something fun. And it wasn't until about 7 months ago that I made the switch. I came over to Avadine, and now Avadine is not just a custom software and software consulting company. They're also a SCADA integrator with my addition. And so we're really pushing that this year and into the future.
Well, so let me ask this, because you and I talked just a minute ago just to get some really good info, but it's not just the fact that you do SCADA and automation, but you have some characteristic expertise in production. Talk about that for a minute, because I think people need to know that part.
Sure, yeah, and that's been a huge part of my career. I started in the oil and gas industry as an operator. I was a field production operator for pumping units specifically. I had a lease of about 200 wells that I operated.
Okay. And
my job was to keep those wells running.
Yes.
And keep oil off the ground, and that's what I did. And it was an awesome job. I loved it. I never thought I would ever be here. But with my background in computer engineering and computer science, it just navigated naturally into the world of technology. Mm-hmm. But it's been huge for me being able to talk the same language as those guys.
Right.
Coming from the technology side, or the integrator side, or the SCADA side, I think there's this wall between those two parties.
Yes.
And for me to come in and say, hey, I was an operator. I know exactly what you're doing. I've worked on these systems.
Yes.
And talk the same language with those guys, and BS a little bit. There's a little bit of that, but that's just fun. But be a partner with them in that way, and that's been huge for me. I think it immediately when I tell people I was an operator, I did work in upstream. I know what a dehy is. I know what a water plant is. I know what a cogen is.
You know how to pull bottoms.
And I know how to. I know how to. I've done it all.
That's right.
I've spun cuts for LAC units, and the second I say that stuff, people are like, "Oh, he knows exactly what I'm going through. He knows what challenges I have," and the walls come down, right?
So what I'm hearing is that in the expertise side, it's not just the technology piece that you bring, but what I'm hearing is that you actually care about what's happening downhole, and you've been in that route. You know what it's like to work a route. You know what it's like to look at things both on the surface and downhole and make some determinations about how I'm going to run my route.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of times people forget that, or you have integrators that cannot appreciate or understand that. So it sounds like you're connecting the dots between the typical, I'll call it just a SCADA guy. Everyone, oh, I'm a SCADA guy. Yeah, but you don't know what it's like to keep oil off the ground. You also don't know sometimes if we're bringing product online, or if I have a flow back ahead of me and I need to keep this thing running. I can flare or I can't flare, right? There's lots of pressures. So it sounds to me like you have the field experience and the time put in to actually relate to that stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And automation and SCADA, in my experience, tends to start at the dehy, at the inlet to the oil dehydration plant. Everything upstream, it's all manual process done by those operators.
Yes.
Why aren't we operating the wells or automating the wells? Why aren't we making those guys' lives easier? How do we not detect problems upstream the dehy better with SCADA and automation? Right?
Yes. Yeah, I think I think that's one of the barriers that we run into. I've seen a lot, especially talking to guests on our channel, right? Is that how do we automate that? How do we make it easy? Some people learn to live with those things.
Sure.
But it sounds like that's not what you're interested in doing. At least Avadine is not, in helping customers gain that edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
In doing so, you gave a presentation earlier. I have to be honest, I missed it, and I wish I was there. And kind of walk us through a way in which Avadine is doing this for customers on the downhole side or on the production side with a product that you talked about.
Sure, yeah. So almost every well today, there's a lot of wells that don't have automation on them, but most wells today have a pump-off controller on them. And what it is, it's a specific device that a pumping unit, a rod pump well has on it that measures the load on the rod string. And that is very critical for engineers and operators to know whether that well is performing optimally. And many times those pump-off controllers are tied into very expensive and proprietary software platforms.
Right.
And that's the challenge, is they are just kind of stuck with those. Where are they going to go? What other product are they going to use? How are they going to switch and save some money? And that's where we have said Ignition is the perfect platform to solve this problem. And that's why we're here talking about some work that we've been doing, is to figure out, what's the magic behind these rod lift optimization software platforms? Are they really, is it a secret sauce that nobody can figure out, or is it that complicated that we can't do it in Ignition? And why doesn't Ignition exist in this space? They exist in so many different industries and verticals. They don't exist here. And we started to question that, and we started to look at these pump-off controllers, and there's a lot of different brands out there, but they really are just a basic PLC with inputs and outputs, and they have the ability to send their data mostly over Modbus to a SCADA platform.
Right.
And so we have developed an application that we call IPOC, that stands for Ignition Pump-Off Control. And that's exactly what it does. It utilizes the Ignition platform to connect these devices, pull in data, let users see that information in Ignition, and be able to issue control commands, set point changes, everything you would expect to do with the SCADA system. Do it straight from Ignition.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when you think of a pump-off controller, it's what I call monolithic. Monolithic meaning I'm siloed. I'm just a monolith of information, and you're right. I think I'd say has grown itself into, well, you have to be a certain kind of operator in order to, number one, get your hands on it, accessibility, right? Because you mentioned that.
Yep.
The second one is understanding what the data even interprets, what you're interpreting downhole, right? And then the third, to get it out, right? So it sounds like what you're doing along with the Avadine team is to take it out of a silo, make it available, because it doesn't just matter to your production operator or your optimizer, it matters to the business. In that industry that we know so well in oil and gas, what matters is the barrel of oil equivalent, my BOE. How much am I truly making? Can I prevent a problem and make more money?
Right.
Like, that's, at the end of the day, it's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So you've got the product, and what is some of the success you think you're seeing with IPOC right now?
It's very early in its stages of getting the word out there.
Okay.
But we have 2 companies currently using it, and they're very excited about it.
Awesome.
So that's awesome, but we haven't had the platform, the marketing and advertisement platform yet.
Sure.
We're like, hey, we want to make sure we're ready to meet the demand if people are excited about this. So I'd say the biggest thing right now is, just today, people are excited.
Yeah.
And it's not that crazy, but people are excited, which tells me this is a place that needs this.
Yes.
Right. And so I think right now the successes we're seeing is the excitement in people on, wow, there is an alternative. We've been stuck with this platform for so long.
Yes.
There is something else we can do.
Yeah.
And Ignition can do it, and everyone knows what Ignition's capable of.
You're right, and I think there's other products. I call them overlay products to that. So they what they do is they overlay on legacy systems. There's some that overlay on products like Signet to sort of do the same thing. But what I'm hearing and what I understand and what you know is, hey, out of the box, you grab some modules with Ignition. You can stand up the platform in its flexibility. You can connect, interpret the data, instantiate it, and get it out and make it available to operational groups.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're planning to turn it into a module and have all the hard pieces taken care of. Integration with Lufkin controllers, Weatherford controllers, GE controllers. The big ones are the easy ones to chase after first, but then we'll start going to the ones that people tell us about that we've never heard of. The Frankenstein units they bought off of eBay. We want to support them all. So we're starting with integration, and then from there, we'll see where it goes. But basic functionality, is the well on or off?
Yes.
Can I start the well remotely? Can I stop the well remotely? Just basic SCADA. And other functionality that we have currently available is the ability to retrieve the downhole pump cards.
Yes.
And visualize those in the application with load and position on a chart. And then one piece that we're missing that a lot of other rod lift optimization platforms have is the diagnosis of those pump cards. And and that's typically why you hire a reservoir engineer who can read those cards and tell you what's happening. And that's where we are taking our software expertise and utilizing AI. And so we're taking those cards, pushing that data to an LLM or a large language model platform and having it do the analysis for us. And the results we're getting back are actually extremely impressive.
Awesome.
So we're really pushing into that space quite a bit.
Sounds like you guys might even be leveraging MCP at some point already.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. That's exciting news. And, Pat, here's what I think we should do. I think that your team, you need to come on and demo the product and reach out to the Energy Tech Podcast group. I would say that's made up of energy partners and companies that are out there that want to tie in that technology and tie that in along with what they're doing upstream of that in the production side. I think that's ideal, and it sounds like there's something there. But at the same time, what do you think the future looks like with the current products for Avadine and what you're trying to do? What does the future look like for you?
Yeah, so it's really a partnership with inductive automation. We've been talking closely with Travis and Kevin and Carl and Colby on what's coming in the platform so that we can take advantage of it. There's a lot of things coming out in 8.3 that just came out today that we already have plans to implement. Event streaming is a huge one. The back end of Ignition being a RESTful API service. And so we want to take the abilities in ignition and expand those in the product. And we'll probably start working on that this week.
Wow. I want to say this out loud, Pat. I was just thinking this right now, but one of the level up flavors here at Ignition is the Prove It conference. Okay. Now, Prove It, of course, I don't know if you know, but it was born out of the Industry 4.0 group, Walker Reynolds and team. Yep. They have this Prove It conference. Let me tell you what I want to see. I want to see a Prove It conference for energy, man. Like what you're doing fits the bill. And if you're a listener, you're going to watch this. I mean, this is, to me, is a Prove It. You know why? I presented earlier today, and one of the things I said is always common, and I think you know this. We're going to flow gas and we're going to flow liquids with or without you. We're going to continue. And it sounds like we want to be a part of that, and it makes sense to establish a Prove It methodology. And I think we could do that with you. And you guys have a product that is proven. Like, here we go. So that's exciting. So I do want to press you for an opportunity to demo the product soon.
Love to.
But with that, Pat, we're glad to have you here on the podcast. And this is awesome. I mean, I'm excited about it. Just knowing that you're capturing this side of the business. And it's a big deal, man.
Right on. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for joining us,
Appreciate
Pat,
it.
and taking the time. We really appreciate it. I'm your co-host, Mike Flotis, with the Energy Tech Podcast, along with Pat Smith at Avadine. You can catch us, like and subscribe, and you'll grab a link also for Avadine. Once again, thank you. Thanks, Pat.